A capable camera specification is one of the reasons why a smartphone is worth considering. With a good camera, one does not only benefit from the ease of capturing and recording videos, but an increase in productivity for those who have a photo and videography hobby. If you are looking for recommendations for the best camera phone $182, here are references that can be considered. The Infinix Note 40 Pro sports a 6.78-inch Full HD plus 1080 by 2436 pixels resolution AMOLED display with a 120 Hz refresh rate and a peak brightness level of 1300 nits, protected by Corning Gorilla Glass to keep it safe from scratches. On the back is a 108-megapixel main sensor with OIS, plus two 2-megapixel sensors for depth and creative effects. Video recording can be up to 1440 pixels 30 frames per second. For selfies, there's a 32-megapixel front-facing camera with dual LED flash, so faces stay bright in low-light conditions. The kitchen uses a 6nm chipset from MediaTek Dimensity 7020, 2.2 GHz octa-core CPU and IMG BXM 8-256 GPU, which is paired with 8 GB of RAM and 256 GB of UFS 2.2 storage. The 5000 mAh battery supports 45-watt fast charging, 50% charged plus or minus 26 minutes, plus 20-watt wireless MagCharge and reverse charging. The body is 8.1 mm thick, IP53 certified, and available in 3 color options, such as Vintage Green, Titan Gold, and a special edition for the Racing Edition. Infinix Note 40 Pro price from $206. The Honor X8C sports a 6.7-inch AMOLED display, 1080 by 2412 pixels resolution, which supports a 120 Hz refresh rate as well as a peak brightness of up to 2800 nits. The camera uses a 108-megapixel main sensor with OIS and PDAF for sharp and detailed images, and a 5-megapixel ultra-wide camera to capture a wider angle. Meanwhile, the 50-megapixel front camera provides good selfie quality and supports 1080 pixels at 30 frames per second recording. The phone is powered by the Qualcomm Snapdragon 685 chipset, 6nm fabrication, which is coupled with 6 GB or 8 GB of RAM and up to 512 GB of internal storage. Meanwhile, the battery has a capacity of 5000 mAh, which supports 35-watt fast charging. There are 4 attractive color options, namely Mars Green, Midnight Black, Moonlight White, and Cloud Purple, which add an elegant impression to the overall design. Honor X8C price, priced around $200. If you want the best $180 phone with a large enough battery capacity and a good camera, the choice is iQOO Z9 5G. Because the battery has a capacity of 6000 mAh and 80-watt charging. The screen is 6.78 inches with an ultra-smooth AMOLED panel and weighs about 195 grams with Phantom Black and Breeze Green colors. The phone is powered by the Snapdragon 7 Gen 3 chipset and already supports 5G networks. The front camera has a resolution of 16 megapixels, while the rear camera adopts a dual camera with a 50-megapixel main camera and a 2-megapixel depth camera. The main camera uses a Sony IMX882 sensor with a half-inch size. IQOZ95G is available in 3 storage options, namely 8GB RAM with 128GB internal memory, 8GB RAM with 256GB internal memory, and 12GB RAM with 256GB internal memory. IQOZ95G price from $237. Redmi Note 12 Pro has a bright and sharp 6.67-inch OLED display with HDR10+ resolution and Corning Gorilla Glass 5 protection. Its refresh rate reaches 120 Hz. Using a Dimensity 1080 chip, its 50-megapixel main camera has PDAF and OIS for more stable videos, and features an 8-megapixel ultra-wide and 2-megapixel macro sensor. The front camera is 16 megapixel and capable of recording 4K at 30 frames per second video. Powered by a 5000 mAh battery, the Redmi Note 12 Pro supports 67-watt fast charging. The Redmi Note 12 Pro features a bright and sharp 6.67-inch OLED display with a refresh rate of 120 Hz. Carrying a Dimensity 1080 chip, the main camera is 50 megapixels with PDAF and OIS, and there is an 8-megapixel ultra-wide camera and 2-megapixel macro. The 16-megapixel front camera is capable of recording 4K at 30 frames per second video. The phone is powered by a 5000 mAh battery with 67-watt fast charging. The price of Redmi Note 12 Pro is around $176. It uses a flat screen with an AMOLED panel, 6.62 inches, 1080 by 2400 pixels, with a refresh rate of 120 Hz. The main camera embeds a 64-megapixel wide ISOCELL GW1 sensor, 2-megapixel macro, and 2-megapixel depth. Meanwhile, the front camera has a large enough sensor of 32 megapixels. V27E uses Helio G99 with 6-nanometer fabrication for better multitasking. It is supported with 8GB or 12GB of RAM, and a choice of 128GB, 256GB, and 512GB of ROM. It has a battery capacity of 4600 mAh with 66-watt flash charge, which is claimed to be able to charge up to 50% in just 19 minutes. Vivo V27E price starts from $224.